Serafina stood in the doorway of the grand library, watching her husband pretend she did not exist. Duke Thorne Ashford sat at his desk. His hand moved across paper, his quill scratched. The fire crackled in the hearth behind him. Golden light danced across the dark wood shelves. Hundreds of books surrounded him like silent guards. He did not look up. She had been standing there for 3 full minutes. She counted each breath, each heartbeat, each second of being invisible. This was day 40. 40 days since their wedding. 40 days since the ceremony in the chapel. 40 days since she became the Duchess of Ashford. 40 days since he last spoke to her. Well, that was not exactly true. He spoke, just never to her. He spoke to the butler, to the housekeeper, to his steward, to his horse, to his dogs, to the servants who brought his tea, but not to her. Serafina's hands trembled. She pressed them against her gray morning dress. The fabric was soft, expensive, cold. Everything in this house was cold. The Duke's manor sat on the edge of the moors. Wild grass stretched for miles. Wind howled every night. The stones of the house were thick and old. They held cold like a secret. But the coldest thing in this place was Thorne. She took one step forward. Her shoe made a small sound on the marble floor. Nothing. He kept writing. "Your Grace," she said. Her voice was quiet, careful, like speaking to a wild animal. His hand paused, just for a moment. His fingers tightened around the quill. Then he kept writing. Something inside her cracked. It was a small crack, thin, but it had been growing for 40 days. "I will be in the garden," she said. No response. She turned and walked away. Her footsteps echoed in the empty hall. Behind her, Thorne's quill stopped moving. His jaw clenched, his eyes closed. His chest rose with a deep breath, but he did not call her back. Serafina wrapped her shawl tighter around her shoulders. The garden was the only place she felt alive. Roses bloomed in careful rows, red, white, pink, yellow. Their scent filled the air. Bees hummed from flower to flower. A stone fountain stood in the center. Water trickled down in gentle streams. She sat on the bench beneath the willow tree. Its long branches hung down like curtains. She was hidden here, safe. This was her ritual now. Every morning, she tried to speak to him. Every morning, he ignored her. Every afternoon she came here. Every evening she ate dinner alone in the dining room while he ate in his study. They lived in the same house but existed in different worlds. She did not understand. Their marriage had been arranged, yes. Her father needed money. His father's will required him to marry. It was business. She knew that. But she thought, she hoped, that maybe they could be kind to each other. Maybe they could be friends. Maybe, one day, something more. She had been so foolish. Foolish girl, she whispered to herself. The wind rustled the willow branches. A bird sang somewhere in the distance. She thought back to the wedding day. It had been raining. The chapel was cold. Thorne stood at the altar in his black coat. His face was carved from stone. He did not smile. He did not look at her. He said his vows like he was reading a contract. "I do," he said, flat, empty. When the priest said, "You may kiss the bride," Thorne had touched his lips to hers for exactly 1 second. His mouth was cold, hard. Then he pulled away and walked down the aisle without offering her his arm. She had to walk alone, in her wedding dress, in front of everyone. The guests whispered. She heard them. She felt their eyes, their pity. Her father patted her shoulder afterward. "You are a duchess now," he said. "That is all that matters." But it was not all that matters. Not to her. She wanted to be seen, to be heard, to be known. Instead, she was a ghost in her own home. "Your Grace?" Serafina looked up. Mrs. Calloway, the housekeeper, stood at the edge of the willow curtain. She was a round woman with kind eyes and grey hair pulled into a tight bun. Yes? His Grace is leaving for the village. He will be gone until evening. Thank you, Mrs. Calloway. The housekeeper hesitated. She twisted her hands together. My lady, may I speak freely? Serafina nodded. The master, he is not a cruel man. I have known him since he was a boy. He is troubled, deeply troubled, but not cruel. What troubles him? Mrs. Calloway's mouth pressed into a thin line. That is not my story to tell, but I will say this. Be patient. Storm clouds do not last forever. She walked away before Serafina could ask more questions. Troubled. Troubled by what? Serafina stood and walked to the fountain. She stared at her reflection in the water. Brown hair, green eyes, a face that was pleasant enough. Not beautiful like her sister, not charming like her cousin, just enough. Was that why he ignored her? Was she not enough? Her chest tightened. No, she would not think like that. She was enough. She was more than enough. But how could she prove it to a man who would not even look at her? She stayed in the garden until the sun began to set. The sky turned orange and pink. Shadows stretched across the grass. Finally, she went inside. Dinner was the same as always. The dining room was enormous. A long table stretched from one end to the other. Candles flickered in silver holders. Her plate was at one end. His chair, at the other end, was empty. She ate roasted chicken and potatoes. She drank wine. She stared at the empty chair. What would happen if she just sat in his spot? Would he finally notice her then? The thought made her smile. Just a little. After dinner, she walked upstairs to her bedroom. It was connected to his bedroom by a single door. That door had never opened. On their wedding night, she waited in her room. She wore a white nightgown. Her heart pounded. She was nervous, scared, hopeful. She waited all night. He never came. Now she stared at that door. She walked to it. She pressed her palm against the wood. Was he in there? Was he reading? Sleeping? Thinking? Did he ever think about her? She pressed her ear to the door. Silence. She pulled away. Shame burned in her cheeks. She was being foolish again. She climbed into bed. The sheets were cold. The room was dark. She stared at the ceiling and counted the days in her head. 40. How many more could she survive? But she didn't know. Something was about to break. Morning light filtered through the curtains. Serafina woke slowly. For a moment she forgot where she was. Then she remembered. The cold house. The silent husband. The 40 days. She sat up. Her chest felt heavy, like a stone was sitting on her ribs. She could not do this anymore. The thought came suddenly, clearly. She could not live like this. She could not keep trying to speak to someone who refused to hear her. She could not keep hoping for something that would never come. She needed to leave. Her heart raced. Her hands shook. But her mind was clear. Yes, she would leave. She would go back to her father's house, or maybe to her aunt's cottage in the countryside. Anywhere but here. She stood and walked to her wardrobe. She pulled out her traveling trunk. It was dusty. She had not used it since arriving here. She opened it and began folding dresses, one by one. Her hands moved quickly, purposefully. She felt something shift inside her. It was not sadness. It was relief. Relief that she had finally made a choice. A knock at the door made her jump. "Come in," she said. Mrs. Calloway entered. Her eyes went wide when she saw the trunk. "My lady, what are you doing?" "I am packing." "Packing? But where are you going?" "Away." Serafina folded another dress. "I cannot stay here, Mrs. Calloway. I have tried. I have tried so hard. But I cannot live with a man who will not even speak to me." Mrs. Calloway's face crumpled. Please, please do not go. Give him more time. I have given him 40 days. That is enough time. But I am not angry at him, Serafina said. Her voice was calm, steady. I do not hate him, but I will not disappear in this house. I will not become a ghost. Mrs. Calloway opened her mouth, closed it, then nodded slowly. I understand, my lady. I do. She left the room quietly. Serafina kept packing. Dresses, shoes, stockings, her brush, her mirror, a book she had been reading. She worked for hours. The trunk filled slowly. She would need another one. She rang for a maid. A young girl named Polly came quickly. Bring me another trunk, please. Polly's eyes went wide. Another trunk, my lady. Yes. Are you leaving? Word travelled fast in this house. Yes. Polly's lip trembled. But you are so kind, my lady. We will miss you. Serafina's throat tightened. I will miss you too, but I cannot stay. Polly nodded and left. She returned 15 minutes later with another trunk. Serafina kept packing. By midday, both trunks were full. She stood in the center of her room. Her hands were on her hips. Her chest rose and fell with deep breaths. She was really doing this. She was really leaving. A strange calm settled over her. She went downstairs. She found the butler, Mr. Graves. I need a carriage prepared for tomorrow morning. Early. I will be leaving. Mr. Graves's face went pale. My lady, does His Grace know? No, and he does not need to know. This is my choice. But, please, Mr. Graves, just prepare the carriage. He hesitated, then bowed. Yes, my lady. She walked back upstairs. She passed the library. The door was open. She glanced inside. Thorne sat at his desk, the same position as always, his back straight, his hand moving across paper. She stopped. She stared at him. For 40 days she had tried to reach him. She had spoken to him, smiled at him, stood near him, hoped he would see her. He never did. But now, she was leaving, and he would never know why. A small, bitter part of her wanted to tell him, to walk in there and say, I am leaving because you have made me feel like nothing. But what would that change? He would not stop her. He might not even look up. She turned and walked away. Tomorrow she would be gone. Yet something felt wrong. That night, Serafina did not sleep. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Her trunk sat packed in the corner. Her travelling cloak hung on the chair. Everything was ready. So why did her chest ache? She told herself it was just nerves, fear of the unknown. She was leaving the only life she had known for the past 40 days. But deep down, she knew the truth. A part of her did not want to go. A part of her still hoped he would suddenly wake up, suddenly see her, suddenly care. But hope was a dangerous thing. She heard a sound from the other side of the door that connected her room to his. Footsteps. Slow, heavy. He was awake. She held her breath, her eyes fixed on the door. Would he open it? Would he finally come to her? The footsteps stopped, right at the door. She could feel him standing there, just on the other side. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. Please, she whispered. Please. Silence. Then the footsteps walked away. She closed her eyes. Tears slipped down her cheeks. That was it. That was the answer. He would never come. She cried quietly into her pillow until exhaustion dragged her into sleep. Morning came too fast. Serafina dressed in her travelling clothes, a dark blue dress, her cloak, her bonnet. She looked at herself in the mirror. Her face was pale, her eyes were red, but her jaw was set. Her decision was made. She walked downstairs. Mr. Graves was waiting in the entrance hall. His face was grim. The carriage is ready, my lady. Thank you. 2 footmen carried her trunks outside. She followed them. The morning air was cold. Mist clung to the ground. The moors stretched out in the distance, grey and endless. She climbed into the carriage. She settled into the seat. She looked up at the house one last time. It was a beautiful house. Grand, strong, but empty. Just like her marriage. She took a deep breath. I am ready. The driver nodded. He picked up the reins, but before he could snap them, a shout rang out. Stop! Serafina's heart leaped into her throat. She leaned out the window. Mrs. Calloway was running from the house. Her face was panicked. Her skirts flew around her legs. Stop! Please, stop! The driver pulled the horses to a halt. Mrs. Calloway, what? It is His Grace, she gasped. She clutched her chest. Her breath came in short bursts. He has collapsed. The world tilted. What? He collapsed in the library. He will not wake. We need the doctor. Serafina did not think. She threw open the carriage door and jumped out. She ran. Her feet pounded against the gravel. Her cloak flew behind her. Her heart screamed in her chest. She burst through the front door. She ran down the hall. She skidded into the library. Thorne lay on the floor. His body was sprawled near his desk. His face was pale. Too pale. His eyes were closed. His chest barely moved. Thorne! She dropped to her knees beside him. Her hands shook as she touched his face. His skin was cold, clammy. Thorne, can you hear me? No response. Panic clawed at her throat. She looked up at Mr. Graves. Send for the doctor, now! Already done, my lady. She turned back to Thorne. She pressed her hand to his chest. His heart was beating. Faint, uneven, but beating. Please, she whispered. Please do not leave me. Not like this. His eyelids fluttered. His lips parted. A soft sound escaped him, almost like a word. She leaned closer. What? What did you say? Sorry. His voice was so quiet she almost missed it. So sorry. Her breath caught. Tears burned her eyes. His hand moved, slowly, weakly. His fingers brushed against hers. And then he went still again. No, 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 no! She gripped his hand. Stay with me, please, stay! Footsteps thundered behind her. She looked up. 2 footmen entered with a stretcher. We will take him to his room, my lady. She nodded. She did not let go of his hand. They lifted him carefully onto the stretcher. She followed them upstairs. They carried him into his bedroom, a room she had never seen. It was dark. Heavy curtains covered the windows. The bed was large, unmade. Papers were scattered across a desk in the corner. They laid him on the bed. She sat beside him. She held his hand in both of hers. The doctor is on his way, Mrs. Calloway said softly. She stood in the doorway. Her eyes were wet. What happened? Serafina asked. Her voice shook. Why did he collapse? Mrs. Calloway hesitated. He has not been eating, my lady, or sleeping. Not properly. Not for weeks. Weeks? Why not? I do not know, but he grows thinner every day. Paler. He works all day and all night. He does not rest. Guilt crashed over Serafina like a wave. She looked down at Thorne. His face was gaunt. His cheekbones were sharp. How had she not noticed? But she knew why. He never let her close enough to see. I should have noticed, she whispered. How could you, my lady? He kept you away. That was true, but it did not make the guilt any lighter. She brushed a strand of dark hair from his forehead. His skin was still cold. Hang on, she whispered. Please hang on. Someone was listening, but she did not know it yet. The doctor arrived an hour later. He was an old man with white hair and spectacles. He examined Thorn carefully. He checked his pulse, listened to his heart, looked into his eyes. Serafina stood at the foot of the bed. Her hands were clasped together so tightly her knuckles were white. Finally, the doctor straightened. He looked at her. His expression was grave. "What is wrong with him?" she asked. "Exhaustion. Severe exhaustion. His body has simply given out." Will he survive? "If he rests, if he eats, if he is cared for," the doctor paused. "But there is something else, Your Grace." Her stomach dropped. "What?" "This is not just physical. There is a wound inside him, something deeper, something that has been eating at him for a long time." "What kind of wound?" The doctor shook his head. "That is not for me to say. But he needs more than medicine. He needs a reason to heal." He packed his bag and left instructions with Mrs. Calloway. Broth, water, rest. Someone must stay with him at all times. Serafina did not hesitate. "I will stay." Mrs. Calloway nodded. "I will bring you tea, my lady. And send word to my father. Tell him I will not be coming." "Yes, my lady." Serafina pulled a chair to the bedside. She sat down. She took Thorn's hand again. The room was quiet. The curtains blocked most of the light. Shadows filled the corners. She studied his face. Really studied it. For the first time she saw the man beneath the cold mask. His jaw was strong. His lashes were long. There was a small scar above his left eyebrow. His lips, even now, were pressed into a tight line. He looked younger in sleep, softer, almost vulnerable. "Who are you?" she thought. "Who are you really?" Hours passed. She did not move. She watched him breathe. She counted each rise and fall of his chest. Mrs. Calloway brought tea. Serafina drank it without tasting it. The housekeeper also brought broth. "If he wakes, try to get him to drink this." "I will." Night fell. The room grew darker. A maid came in and lit candles. The flames flickered and danced. Serafina's eyes grew heavy, but she did not leave. She rested her head on the edge of the bed. Her hand still held his. She closed her eyes. Just for a moment. She woke to the feeling of something moving. Her eyes flew open. Thorn's hand. It was squeezing hers. Gently, weakly, but deliberately. She sat up quickly. "Thorn?" His eyes opened slowly. They were dark, tired, confused. He looked at her. Really looked at her. For the first time in 40 days. His lips moved. "You stayed?" Her throat tightened. "Yes." "Why?" The question broke her heart. Why? Because despite everything, despite 40 days of silence, despite the cold and the loneliness, some part of her still cared. "Because you needed me," she said simply. His eyes closed again. A tear slipped down his cheek. She stared. She had never seen him cry. She did not think he was capable of it. "I am sorry," he whispered. His voice cracked. "I am so sorry." "Shh. Do not speak. You need to rest." "No." His eyes opened again. There was something desperate in them. "I need to tell you. I need to explain." "Explain what?" He took a shaky breath. "Why I pushed you away." Her heart pounded. She leaned closer. "Tell me." He looked at her for a long moment. His eyes were full of pain, of regret, of something that looked like fear. "I was afraid," he said. "Afraid of what?" "Of you." She blinked. "Of me?" "Of what you make me feel." The words hung in the air, heavy, raw, true. He closed his eyes again. I am not a good man, Serafina. I have done terrible things. I have hurt people. I have failed people. And I thought, if I let you close, I would fail you too. I would hurt you too. So I kept you away. I thought it would protect you. Her breath caught. Thorn. But I see now. I hurt you anyway. I made you feel invisible, unwanted. And that is worse than anything I was trying to protect you from. She felt tears slip down her cheeks. You did not fail me. You were scared. I understand that. You should not understand. You should hate me. I do not hate you. He opened his eyes. He looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. Why not? Because I see you, she said. Her voice was steady, strong. I see the man you are trying to hide. The man you think is not good enough. But I see him, and he is worth knowing. His face crumpled. More tears fell. He gripped her hand tighter. I do not deserve you. Maybe not, but you have me anyway. A small, broken laugh escaped him. It sounded like relief, like hope. She smiled. A real smile. The first one she had felt in 40 days. Now drink this broth, she said. Doctor's orders. He nodded. She helped him sit up. She held the bowl to his lips. He drank slowly. His hands shook. When he finished, she set the bowl aside. He lay back down. His eyes were already closing again. Stay, he whispered. Please stay. I am not going anywhere. He fell asleep holding her hand, and for the first time since she arrived at this cold house, Serafina felt warm. But she didn't know. The truth was far more complicated than fear. 3 days passed. Thorn grew stronger. He ate, he drank, he slept. And every time he woke, Serafina was there. She read to him. She talked to him. She told him about her childhood, about her sister, about the time she fell into a pond chasing a frog. He listened. He even smiled. A small smile, but a smile nonetheless. On the 4th day, he sat up on his own. Colour returned to his face. His eyes were brighter. You are a stubborn woman, he said. She raised an eyebrow. Is that a complaint? An observation. Well, you are a stubborn man, so we are even. He laughed. A real laugh. The sound filled the room. It was warm, rich, beautiful. She realized she had never heard him laugh before. I like that, she said. What? Your laugh. He looked at her. Something soft passed across his face. I like your voice. Her cheeks warmed. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Thorn's expression shifted. He looked troubled. What is wrong? She asked. There is something I need to show you. What? He hesitated. Then he nodded toward his desk. In the bottom drawer, there is a box. Bring it here. She stood and walked to the desk. She opened the bottom drawer. Inside was a small wooden box. She lifted it out. It was heavier than she expected. She brought it to him. He took it with careful hands. He stared at it for a long moment. What is it? She asked. The truth. He opened the box. Inside were letters, dozens of them, all in the same handwriting. He pulled one out. His hands shook slightly. Read this. She took the letter. She unfolded it. The paper was old, worn. She read, My dearest Thorn, I hope this letter finds you well. I know it has been weeks since we last spoke. I miss you terribly. The house is so empty without you. I am trying to be strong. For you. For us. but the pain grows worse each day. The doctors say there is nothing more they can do. Do not grieve for me, my love. I have lived a full life. I have loved deeply. I have been loved in return. That is more than most people ever have. Please, do not shut yourself away when I am gone. Do not let my death turn you cold. Promise me you will live. Promise me you will love again. You deserve happiness, Thorn. You deserve a full life. With all my love, Catherine. Seraphina's hands trembled. She looked up at Thorn. His face was pale. His jaw was tight. Who was Catherine? My first wife. The words hit her like a blow. She stared at him. You were married before? Yes, for 3 years. She died 4 years ago. I did not know. No one does. I do not speak of it. She looked back at the letter. She was sick. Cancer. She suffered for months. I watched her fade away, and there was nothing I could do. His voice was flat, empty, but she could hear the pain beneath it. I am so sorry, she whispered. She made me promise to live, to love again, but I could not. I tried to move on. I tried to forget, but every time I closed my eyes, I saw her. I heard her. I felt her. He pulled out another letter, and another. He spread them across the bed. She wrote me every day. Even when she was too weak to hold a pen, she dictated to her maid. She wanted me to have something to hold on to. Seraphina's eyes filled with tears. She loved you very much. She did, and I loved her, with everything I had. He paused. His voice dropped to a whisper. And when she died, I died with her. Thorn, when my father's will forced me to marry again, I was furious. I did not want another wife. I did not want to replace Catherine. I did not want to feel anything ever again. He looked at her. His eyes were wet, raw. So when you arrived, I shut you out. I refused to speak to you, to see you, because if I let you in, if I allowed myself to feel something for you, it would mean Catherine was truly gone. It would mean I was moving on, and I was not ready for that. Seraphina's heart broke, not for herself, but for him, for the man carrying so much grief he could not breathe. She reached out. She took his hand. You do not have to replace her. Love is not a limited resource. You can love her memory and still make room for something new. I know that now, but I did not before. I was so lost in my grief, I could not see what was right in front of me. And what was in front of you? He looked at her, really looked at her. A woman who deserved so much more than silence. A woman who tried every day to reach me. A woman who stayed, even when I gave her every reason to leave. Her breath hitched. Thorn. You were packing to leave, he said. I saw the trunks. I heard Mrs. Calloway talking to the maids. And I realized, if you left, I would lose you. And I could not let that happen. Not again. Is that why you collapsed? I had not eaten in days. I had not slept. I was trying to finish something, a letter, to you, to explain, to apologize, but my body gave out before I could. She felt tears slip down her cheeks. What did the letter say? He reached into the box. He pulled out a piece of paper. It was half written. The handwriting was shaky. He handed it to her. Read it. She read. Dearest Seraphina, I do not know how to begin this letter. I do not know how to explain 40 days of cruelty, but I will try. I have been a coward. I have hidden behind my grief and used it as a shield to keep you away. But you did not deserve that. You deserved kindness, respect, a husband who saw you. I see you now, and I am ashamed of what I have done. If you choose to leave, I will not stop you. You have every right to walk away from this cold house and this broken man. But if you choose to stay, I promise I will spend every day trying to be the husband you deserve. I will speak to you. I will see you. I will know you. Because, Serafina, you are not a replacement. You are not a shadow. You are light in a house that has been dark for too long. Yours, Thorn. She folded the letter carefully. Her hands shook. Her chest ached. You were writing this when you collapsed? Yes. She looked at him. His face was open, vulnerable, waiting. I choose to stay, she said. His breath left him in a rush. Relief flooded his face. Truly? Truly. He pulled her hand to his lips. He kissed her knuckles. Thank you. She smiled through her tears. But you have to keep your promise. I will, every day. And she believed him. Yet something still felt unfinished. Weeks passed. Thorn kept his promise, every single day. He spoke to her at breakfast. He asked about her day. He listened when she answered. He walked with her in the garden. He showed her his favorite places on the estate. The old oak tree where he used to climb as a boy, the stream where he caught fish, the hill where he could see the entire moor. He told her stories, about his childhood, about his parents, about Catherine. He did not hide anymore. And Serafina opened up too. She told him about her fears, her dreams, her loneliness in those 40 days. They talked for hours. They laughed. They sat in comfortable silence. Slowly, the cold house became warm. One afternoon, they sat together in the library, the same room where he used to ignore her. But now, he sat beside her on the sofa. Their shoulders touched. He was reading. She was embroidering. The fire crackled in the hearth. Serafina? Yes? I have been thinking. About what? About fear. She set down her embroidery. She looked at him. What about it? I was so afraid of loving you, afraid of losing you the way I lost Catherine, afraid of the pain. He paused. But I realize now, the pain of pushing you away was worse. Her throat tightened. You do not have to be afraid anymore. I know, because you are still here. She smiled. I am not going anywhere. He reached out. He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. His fingers lingered on her cheek. You are beautiful, he said softly. Her breath caught. Thorn. I should have said that on our wedding day. I should have said it every day since. You are saying it now. That is enough. He leaned closer. His eyes searched hers. May I kiss you? Her heart pounded. Yes. He kissed her. Slowly, gently. His lips were warm, soft. Nothing like the cold, quick kiss at their wedding. This was real. This was right. When he pulled back, his eyes were bright. I have wanted to do that for weeks. She laughed. Then do it again. He did. More weeks passed. Spring turned to summer. Flowers bloomed. The moors turned green. The sun stayed longer in the sky. Thorn and Serafina fell into a rhythm. They rode horses together. They read together. They danced in the drawing room when no one was watching. The servants noticed the change. They smiled more, laughed more. The house felt alive. One evening, Thorn took Serafina to the hill overlooking the estate. The sun was setting. The sky was painted pink and gold. They stood side by side. His arm was around her waist. I used to come here when I felt lost, he said. When Catherine died, I came here every night. I would sit and stare at the sky and feel nothing. And now? Now I feel everything. He looked at her. Because of you. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I feel everything too. They stood in silence, watching the sun sink below the horizon. "I love you," he said suddenly. She lifted her head. She stared at him. "What?" "I love you, Serafina. I should have said it sooner, but I was still figuring it out. I was still learning how to feel again. But now I know. I love you." Tears spilled down her cheeks, happy tears. "I love you too," she whispered. "I have loved you even when you did not speak to me, even when you pushed me away. I loved the man I hoped you could be." He cupped her face in his hands. "I will spend the rest of my life being that man. I promise." He kissed her, deep, passionate, full of all the words they had not said. When they pulled apart, they were both breathless. "Let us go home," he said. "Home," she repeated. The word felt right now. They walked back to the house, hand in hand. The stars came out above them. The air smelled like roses. That night, for the first time, Thorn opened the door between their rooms. He stood in the doorway. He looked nervous, vulnerable. "May I come in?" She smiled. "Yes." He crossed the room. He took her hands. "I want to do this right, the way I should have from the beginning." "You do not have to." "I do." He knelt down. He looked up at her. His eyes were full of love. "Serafina, will you be my wife? Not because of an arrangement, not because of a will, but because I choose you, because I love you, because I want to spend every day for the rest of my life by your side." Her heart swelled. "I already am your wife." "I know, but I am asking you to choose me too." She dropped to her knees. She cupped his face. "I choose you, Thorn. Every day, every moment. I choose you." He kissed her, and this time it was not just a kiss. It was a promise, a beginning. They stayed together that night, and every night after. But someone was watching, and the past was not done with them yet. Months passed. Autumn arrived. Leaves turned gold and red. The air grew crisp. Thorn and Serafina were happy, truly happy. But happiness is fragile. One morning, a letter arrived. The butler brought it to Thorn at breakfast. Thorn opened it. His face went pale. "What is it?" Serafina asked. He did not answer. He just stared at the letter. "Thorn?" He looked up. His eyes were dark, haunted. "It is from Catherine's sister." Serafina's stomach dropped. "What does it say?" He handed her the letter. She read. "Thorn, I hope this letter finds you well. I have heard you have remarried. I am happy for you. However, there is something you need to know. Something Catherine asked me to keep secret until you were ready. Before she died, Catherine wrote one final letter. She gave it to me and made me promise not to give it to you until you had moved on, until you had found love again. I believe that time has come. I will be visiting next week. I will bring the letter then. With regards, Margaret." Serafina set the letter down. Her hands were shaking. "A final letter?" Thorn nodded. He looked lost. "I did not know." "What do you think it says?" "I do not know." Silence fell over the table. The breakfast grew cold. Serafina reached across the table. She took his hand. "Whatever it says, we will face it together." He looked at her. Gratitude filled his eyes. Tagaga. Margaret arrived on a grey, rainy day. She was a tall woman with Catherine's eyes. She carried a small satchel. Thorn and Serafina met her in the drawing room. The fire was lit. Tea was served. Margaret looked at Thorn, then at Serafina. She smiled softly. "You look happy," she said to Thorn. "I am," he said. He glanced at Serafina. "Because of her." Margaret's smile widened. Catherine would be glad. Thorn's throat worked. "You have the letter?" Yes. Margaret reached into her satchel. She pulled out an envelope. It was sealed with red wax. She handed it to Thorn. She wanted you to read it alone, but I think your wife should be with you. Thorn looked at Serafina. Will you stay? Of course. Margaret stood. I will give you privacy. Take your time. She left the room. Thorn stared at the envelope. His hands shook. Serafina moved closer. She put her arm around him. Do you want me to open it? She asked. No. I need to do this. He broke the seal. He unfolded the letter. He took a deep breath, and he read. My dearest Thorn, if you are reading this, it means Margaret has given you this letter. It means you have moved on. It means you have found love again. I am so happy. I know you, Thorn. I know how you grieve. I know how you hold on. I know how you blame yourself. But I need you to hear this. My death was not your fault. You gave me 3 beautiful years. You loved me fiercely. You cared for me in my darkest hours. You held my hand when I was too weak to hold yours. You did everything right. And now, I need you to let me go. Not forget me. Never forget me. But let go of the guilt. Let go of the pain. Let go of the idea that you could have saved me. You could not. But you can save yourself. Love again, Thorn. Laugh again. Live again. Whoever she is, the woman you have chosen, love her fully. Do not hold back. Do not let my ghost stand between you. I release you. You are free. With all my love, forever and always. Catherine. Thorn's hands trembled so badly, the letter fell from his fingers. Serafina caught it. She set it aside. Thorn's face crumpled. Tears poured down his cheeks. Great, shaking sobs tore from his chest. Serafina wrapped her arms around him. She held him as he cried. She did not say anything. She just held him. He cried for a long time. For Catherine. For the years lost to grief. For the guilt he carried. And then, slowly, the sobs quieted. He pulled back. His eyes were red, swollen. But there was something different in them. Something lighter. She let me go, he whispered. She did. I thought I was betraying her by loving you. You were not. You are not. He took a shuddering breath. I can love you both. Yes. He cupped her face. But I choose you. Every day. I choose you. She kissed him. Soft. Gentle. And I choose you. They held each other in the quiet drawing room. The rain pattered against the windows, the fire crackled, and for the first time, Thorn felt truly free. But the story was not over yet. That evening, Thorn asked Serafina to meet him in the garden. The rain had stopped. The air smelled fresh, clean. She found him standing by the fountain. He was holding something in his hands. What is this? She asked. He turned. He smiled. A full, genuine smile. A new beginning. He held out his hand. In his palm was a ring. It was simple, silver, a single emerald in the center. This was my grandmother's ring, he said. She gave it to my grandfather on their 50th anniversary. She told him it represented endurance, strength, love that lasts. Serafina's eyes filled with tears. It is beautiful. I want you to have it, not as a replacement for your wedding ring, but as a symbol of the life we are building together. He took her left hand. He slid the ring onto her finger beside her wedding band. I know our marriage started in silence, in coldness, in fear. But I want to start again, right now, right here. He dropped to one knee. He looked up at her. The moonlight shone on his face. Serafina, I vow to speak to you every day. I vow to see you, to hear you, to know you. I vow to love you not in the shadow of the past, but in the light of the present. I vow to be your partner, your friend, your husband, in every way that matters. Her tears spilled over. Thorn, will you vow the same to me? She dropped to her knees. She took his hands in hers. I vow to stand by you, to support you, to love you even on the hard days. I vow to remind you of your worth when you forget. I vow to build a life with you that is full of laughter and warmth and hope. I vow to be your wife, in every way that matters. They kissed, long and deep. The garden around them seemed to glow. When they pulled apart, they were both smiling. Let us go inside, he said. I am tired of the cold. She laughed. Me too. They walked back to the house, hand in hand. The windows glowed with warm light. Smoke curled from the chimneys. It was not a perfect house, but it was theirs, and that was enough. Years passed. The house on the moors changed. Thorn had the heavy curtains removed. He had the walls painted lighter colours. He filled the rooms with flowers. Serafina started a school in the village. She taught children to read and write. Thorn funded it. He even visited sometimes to tell stories. They travelled, to London, to Paris, to places they had never seen. They collected memories like treasures. They fought sometimes, all couples do, but they always talked. They always listened. They always chose each other. And one spring morning, Serafina woke feeling strange. She felt dizzy, tired. Her stomach was uneasy. She called for the doctor. He examined her. He smiled. Congratulations, Your Grace. You are with child. Her breath caught. Truly? Truly? She pressed her hand to her stomach. A baby. Their baby. She found Thorn in the library. He was reading. She stood in the doorway. He looked up. He smiled. Hello, my love. I have news. His smile faded. What is wrong? Nothing is wrong. Something is right. She walked to him. She took his hand. She placed it on her stomach. We are going to have a baby. His eyes went wide. His mouth opened. No sound came out. Then he laughed, a joyful, incredulous laugh. He stood and swept her into his arms. He spun her around. A baby, he whispered. We are going to have a baby. Yes. He set her down carefully. He cupped her face. I love you. So much. I love you too. He knelt down. He pressed his forehead to her stomach. Hello, little one. I am your father, and I promise I will be here, every day. I will not run. I will not hide. I will love you and your mother with everything I have. Serafina ran her fingers through his hair. Tears streamed down her face. Happy tears. This was everything she never knew she wanted. Months later, on a cold winter night, Serafina gave birth. It was long, painful, terrifying. But Thorn was there. He held her hand. He whispered encouragement. He did not leave. And when the baby finally came, the room filled with the sound of crying. A healthy, loud, perfect baby girl. The midwife cleaned her and wrapped her in a blanket. She placed the baby in Serafina's arms. Serafina stared down at her daughter. She had dark hair, tiny fingers, eyes that would one day be green like hers. She is perfect, Serafina whispered. Thorn leaned over. He touched the baby's cheek. His eyes were wet. What should we name her? He asked. Serafina thought for a moment. Then she smiled. Catherine. Thorn's breath hitched. Are you sure? Yes, to honor her, to thank her, because without her letter we might not be here. Thorn kissed Serafina's forehead. Catherine it is. He looked down at his daughter. Hello, Catherine. Welcome to the world. The baby yawned, her tiny hand wrapped around his finger. And Thorn, the man who had once been so afraid to love, felt his heart overflow. It was early morning. The sun was just beginning to rise. Golden light spilled through the windows. Thorn sat in the nursery holding baby Catherine. She was asleep in his arms. Her tiny chest rose and fell. Serafina stood in the doorway watching. She smiled. "You have been in here for an hour," she said softly. "I cannot help it. She is so small, so perfect." "She is, but she will still be perfect in her crib." He looked up. He grinned. "I know, but I missed so much before. With you, I do not want to miss a single moment now." Serafina walked to him. She kissed the top of his head. "You will not, I promise." He stood carefully. He placed Catherine in her crib. He covered her with a soft blanket. Then he turned to Serafina. He pulled her close. "Do you remember 40 days after our wedding?" he asked. "Of course. That was the day I decided to leave." "And the day I collapsed." "Yes." He cupped her face. 40 days. That is how long it took me to realize I was an idiot." She laughed. "You were not an idiot. You were scared." "I was both." She kissed him. "Well, you are neither now." "No. Now I am just a man who loves his wife and his daughter more than anything in the world." Good answer. They stood together in the nursery, holding each other. The house was quiet, peaceful, warm. "I used to think this house was cursed," Thorn said, "cold and empty and full of ghosts. And now? Now it is full of life, of love, of hope." Serafina rested her head on his chest. "Because you let me in." "Because you refused to give up on me." They stayed like that for a long time. The sun rose higher, light filled the room. And in that moment they both knew the truth. Love is not perfect. It is messy, complicated, hard. But it is worth it. Every single day, it is worth it.